Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 7, text number 26, page number page number 358. Vedaham samabditani vartamani charjuna Vishyam cha bhutanam matu vedana kaschana Veda, no. Aham, I. Samatani, completely past. Vartam, mad, nanani, present. Cha, and. Arjuna, O Arjuna, Vishyani, future, Cha, also, Bhutani, all living entities, Ma, may, Tu, but, Veda, knows, Na, not, Kaschana, anyone. Translation. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. Om Aryanaturam Dasya Jana Jana Sakaya Sakshu Mitam Jena Tasmei Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Danti Swabadanti Kam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So as purport, there's two paragraphs. I'm going to read the first paragraph, comment on that, and then I'll read the second paragraph. Purport. Here the question of personality and impersonality is clearly stated. If Krishna, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Maya, material, as the impersonalists considered him to be, then like the living entity, he would change his body and forget everything about his past life. Anyone within the material body cannot remember his past life, nor can he foretell his future life, nor can he predict the outcome of his present life. Therefore, he cannot know what is happening in past, present, and future. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, he cannot know past, present, future. So kindly turn off your phone. Just turn it off. Anybody else turn off their phone? They have to pay a fine of sweetmeats. So here, this verse says, O Arjuna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all is happening in the present, and all things yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. So this verses 26 to 30 is talking about bewilderment and the of Krishna and how to become free from that bewilderment to know Krishna. So, in the last verse, it is said, I am never manifested to foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency. Therefore, they do not know I am unborn and infallible. That's Atmamaya, internal potency. Here are the three words. Krishna says, I know Samtitani, past, Vartmanani, present, and Bhavishanyani, future. Everything happening, past, present, and future. So, now Krishna comes as stated in the Bhagavad-Gita, Yada Yada Dharmasya, Kani Bharata Bharata, Bhutanam Dharmasya, Ratman Sujamyaham. Whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious principles, practice or descendant Bharata, and Brahmanamized in real religion, at that time I descend. Vichena Sadamnam Vinishayat Sadushkritam Dharma Santam Pranartaya Sambhavani Yuge Yuge. Deliver the pious, annihilate the miscreants, as well as to establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. So, this first paragraph is stressing the point that Krishna is not impersonal or under the spell of Maya. They think when Krishna comes that he is under the spell of Maya and he takes a material form. But according to the Brahma Samhita, Krishna says in Brahma Samhita that Agni Yasha Saklan Riviti Manti Panchjanti Panti Kayanti Chiranjiganti Ananda Chinmaya Saruja Vigrahasha Govindamari Pusha Tamaha Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses himself full-fledged function of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. It also says, Advaitam Achyutam Anandin Antarupam Aja Purana Purusha Navayobinamsha Vedeshir Dulabam Adulabam Atmabhakto Govindamari Pusha Tamaha Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blossoming youth. So this is the conclusion of Lord Brahma, the first created living being. When Krishna comes in the material world, but he can never be covered by Maya, because if Krishna was covered by Maya, then Maya would be superior to Krishna, and Maya would be supreme. So the fools and rascals, Abhijanti Mam Mudha, the Mudhas, they don't want to accept that Krishna comes to this planet They don't understand it because they're sinful. And Prabhupada had a conversation with Cardinal Diallo in France. He tried to convince the Cardinal that meat eating was not good, shouldn't be done. But the Cardinal had so many excuses. He said the children are hungry, they have to eat something. And Prabhupada said, well, if you have to eat meat, at least don't eat the cow. Because the cow's like your mother, most dear to Krishna. So, then Prabhupada said, if you want to love God, which is the goal, or supposed to be the goal of all religions, then you can't be sinful. Here it says, if you're contaminated, no one can know unless one is liberated from material contamination. He cannot know past, present, future, and cannot know the Supreme Personality of Godhead, let alone love Him. So, on all the other religions in the world, they're called Kaitava Dharma, which is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the cheating religions, because they don't stress any rules and regulations. Even though Jesus Christ gave the Ten Commandments, He said, "Thou shalt not kill." But they want to misinterpret that and say that means one should not kill. Only means human beings, not other living entities. In the Muslim religion, they say the animal's soul is temporary, so you can kill the animals. In the Jewish religion, they kill the animals in a kosher way. They say it's kosher. So the rabbi, the head priest, he chants some prayer when they kill the animal. And he says he feels bad about killing the animal, killing cows, but he does it anyhow. So they say it's okay to eat meat. And those who are strict, the Orthodox Jewish people, they don't mix the meat and the milk because it may come from the same cow that gave birth to a calf that the milk came from. So they keep everything separate, called kosher. But we don't have that problem in Krishna consciousness because we don't eat meat at all. No meat, fish, or eggs. So we don't have to keep anything separate because there's nothing there. Nothing. We don't eat any abominable things to begin with. But they do in that religion. Then there's the Orthodox, and then there's those that are a little liberal and conservative, and the liberal ones that don't even follow that. So these are all cheating religions, and they can't expect to know God or love God as long as they're under the influence of the material energy and are committing sinful activities. So, we heard this morning from Janardhan Maharaj how the Lord incarnates in every species of life. He came as Mohini Murti in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam to bewilder the demons. So that was the only female incarnation of the Lord. So the demons and demigods worked very hard to churn the ocean of milk to get a pot of nectar, which supposedly gives you, it makes you immortal, free from old age and free from disease, free from old age, disease, and death. So they worked very hard to get this pot of nectar. And then Mohini Murti came, because when Dhanvatari came and took the pot of nectar, the demons snatched it from his hand. So the demons had the pot of nectar, and then they were arguing among themselves who should drink it first. So while they were arguing, Mohini Murti appeared, and she was so beautiful and attractive but she bewildered the minds of all the demons. And she said, you just trust me. I'm a prostitute, but just trust me. I will, whatever I decide, whatever I decide, you should just agree with. But Shnakapani says you should never put your faith in a woman or a politician, because they can't control their senses and they have to change their minds at any time. So they agreed with, they were captivated, the demons were captivated by Mohini Murti, and they just gave in to her demands. Whatever she said, they said, okay, it's fine with us. So she gave the pot of nectar to the demigods. The demon demigods were sitting in different places waiting for the nectar. So she gave the pot of nectar to the demigods. But Rahu, who was a demon, disguised himself as a demigod and was sitting with the demigods between the sun and the moon. Of course, the sun and the moon, Rahu was always envious of the sun and the moon and causing trouble. He's considered, fifth canon says, Rahu's the most abominable personality. So he drank the nectar first. So Mohini Murti detected that he was a demon. So she took out her Sudarshan chakra and cut off his head. So his body died, but his head remained alive. And his head became the Rahu planet. So this is one of the incarnations the Lord mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. But the incarnations of the Lord, they're coming like the waves in the ocean, waves in the river. No one can count them, how many incarnations there are. But all of the incarnations have Satchidananda body, whether it be a fish, or a tortoise, or a half man, half lion, or a horse, whatever, or a swan. These incarnations of the Lord have Satchidananda body. They don't have material body. And they all know past, present, and future. But for an ordinary living entity, that's not possible. But since Narada Muni comes at different times, appears in the Bhagavatam in many places. He appeared in the 10th canto and appeared to Kamsa. Kamsa was bewildered because there was a voice from the sky when he was going on procession with his sister after the marriage. The voice said that the 8th child would be the cause of your death. So they had Krishna arranged that Yogamaya take birth, and the 7th child was a miscarriage. So the 8th child was a girl, and she took birth from Yasoda, and Vasudeva took baby Krishna, took birth from Devaki, and exchanged the baby Krishna with the baby Yogamaya, and brought it back to the prison house. So Kamsa didn't know that the 8th child was Krishna. So Narada Muni came there because he knows past, present, and future. So he came there to speed up the pastime so that Kamsa could be killed quickly, because he's such a demoniac person causing so much trouble everywhere. So Narada Muni also speaks about the future, what Krishna is going to do in the future in the Krishna book. So he knows past, present, future. And Srila Prabhupada, when we got the land for this temple in Vrindavan, it was out in the boonies. In other words, there was nothing here The rickshaws wouldn't come here because they couldn't get a passenger to go back to town. So they're wondering, why Srila Prabhupada, why do you want that land? No one's ever going to come there. But Srila Prabhupada had the vision that this temple would be surrounded by buildings and people would come here every single day. They were worried about filling up the guest house in the beginning. Now it's always booked up. Can't get a room in the guest house. And so Prabhupada had that vision that this land was the ideal place to build a temple. And also, the same thing happened in Juhu Beach. Juhu Beach was far away from the center of Mumbai, which was Bombay or Mumbai, and it was just a jungle at that time when they got the land. They were living on the land, it was a jungle. So they're wondering why Prabhupada wants this temple here, because people won't come here because it's so far away from the city and it's so hard to get anywhere in Mumbai to travel to go to the temple. But as it turned out, it is a very wealthy area, and people come to the temple not only every day, but on Janmashtami, maybe 1 lakh or so come to the temple for darshan. They keep the temple open till 3 o'clock in the morning, and people wait in queue for 2 kilometers to just come in the temple and take darshan. So also that land, that temple, has become the most popular Radha Krishna temple in Juhu, in Mumbai. And also in Bhuvaneshwara, my city, they got the land there. It was way out in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing around the temple, and they built the temple. Didn't know what to expect, but now it's all built up around the temple, and people are coming there every single day. So this way, Prabhupada had the vision of present and future. I don't know about past, present, and future, but he could visualize that these places would be ideal places for temples. So in this way, Krishna and Krishna's representative, Krishna says that he Tesam satayuktanam bhajantam priti purvakam, that those who worship me love and devotion, I give the intelligence to come to me, and he also gives the intelligence to his pure devotee for preaching. And Prabhupada said that his purports to Srimad Bhagavatam, we took dictation from the Super Soul. When Prabhupada was interviewed by a reporter, they asked him, can you speak to God? Can you talk to God? And Prabhupada said yes. So the devotee wanted to give some philosophical explanation to make it more clear to the reporter, but Prabhupada cut him off and said, no, I speak to God. And Prabhupada took dictation from the Super Soul. One man came to Prabhupada and he said, Swamiji, I heard that you're always chanting the Maha Mantra, but I see you're not chanting. You're doing so many things. So they said to Prabhupada, so Prabhupada said, well, just put your ear on my back. So he did that, and he heard Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the pure devotee who is empowered by Krishna to do so many things. Shaktivesh, so many avatars are Shaktivesh avatars. Some avatars are Vishnu Tattva, some avatars are Jiva Tattva. So they're empowered by Krishna. And one Alawar, there's 12 Alawars in South India who appeared 5,000 years ago. And they wrote, ISKCON devotee wrote a book about this Alawar. He he lived in a hollow of a tree, tamal tree, for his whole life. He spent 36 years in that tree, never talked to anyone until he was 16 years old, and he wrote 16 or 1,200. He wrote 1,296 poems about Krishna and the future, and he predicted that Lord Chaitanya would come in the future and start his Sankirtan movement. So he could see past, present, and future. Maybe some of you, anybody read that book? Remember his name? I wrote it down, but I can't find it right now. Anyway, it's an example of someone who also knew the past, present, and future. And Lord Chaitanya said that he wanted this movement preached in every town and village all over the world. So Prabhupada, when he met his Guru Maharaj in 1922, first thing his Guru Maharaj said to him, "You're a young man, why don't you preach Krishna consciousness, the mission of Lord Chaitanya, to the English-speaking world?" So Prabhupada was shocked to hear that, because he was a family man at that time, and he wasn't first time he was hearing that he should preach Krishna consciousness. But because it was the desire of Lord Chaitanya, the holy name be chanted every town and village. So Prabhupada spent his whole life preparing himself so that he could go to the West and preach Krishna consciousness, even though it seemed like an impossible task, because everybody in the West is in the mode of passionate ignorance, and there's very little goodness there. So Prabhupada went to America, and in one lecture he's saying that first I gradually got them attached to chanting the holy name, and then he started to introduce the different principles. At the first initiation ceremony, they didn't even know the four regulated principles. He wrote them on a paper and posted on the board. No meeting, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. But gradually he introduced Mangala Arati, different things that we do nowadays. And because he did everything according to time, place, and circumstance. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada was able to some degree, fulfill that order of Lord Chaitanya, Viti Viti Yatra Nagarati Gram, that his holy name will be chanted in every town and village on the surface of the globe. So Prabhupada's disciples have taken that mission to heart, and now the holy name is being chanted in practically every country in the world, even in China, even in Russia, or even communist China, when Russia was communist, and even in now we've printed books in the Arabic languages and different Muslim languages, different countries of the world, and people from those countries have migrated to America. And Vaisheshika Prabhu, he goes to the neighborhoods where these people, Muslim people, are living, and he gives them a book in their language, Bhagavad-Gita and small books, and they're very happy to receive it and very happy to read it. And this way, the movement is being spread even in countries where we can't go officially and preach, but it's getting there by the way of the Brihad Madhung, by the way of the Kirtan, Sankirtan, by the printing press. So there's two kinds of Kirtan. There's the street Kirtan, and which is the Madhunga can be heard for a short distance, but the Brihad Madhunga, that can be heard all over the world, the printing press. So when Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta at Radhakund and asked him what service he can do from you, Bhaktisiddhanta told him that if you ever get money, you should print books, because this will establish Krishna consciousness. If a person gets a book, and this is the marathon time, so many books are being distributed, especially Bhagavad-Gita. So if a person gets a book and keeps it in his house, generally when people get a hardbound book, they don't throw it away, they put it on their bookshelf. So even if they don't read it, the person that got it, someone else may read it and become a devotee. So in this way, the Krishna consciousness movement is expanding more and more and more. In the year 2005 or 6, we had 400 temples. Now we got 800 temples, and more temples are being built all over the world. So in this way, Krishna consciousness is being expanded and growing considerably, and people are beginning to understand the philosophy and beginning to understand that Dukkhayalam Shashvatam, that the material world is a place of misery and suffering, where one has to take repeated birth and death. So to get some relief from the suffering, people are becoming devotees of Krishna. So Krishna knows past, present, and future. Krishna's not, form is not material. He's not impersonal. He's a person. And even in the Bible it says man is created in the image of God. So we have a form, then you can't expect God to not have a form, to be impersonal. But if they don't want to hear it, if you try to preach to these Orthodox Jewish people, they don't want to hear it. Even if you try to explain to them God's a person, they get angry because they can't conceive of it. If God's a person, then he must be a person like you or me. He must have a material body. He must be suffering like you or me. He must get old. He must die. But that's not the case. God has a Satchidananda body. When Krishna's on the planet, he was here for 120 years. But his body never got over 16 or 20 years old. In Madras, they have a temple of Krishna with a mustache. They told Prabhupada that this is not, Prabhupada said this is bogus, it's not bona fide. Because Krishna never got over 16 years old. He never had a mustache. So, same with all the residents, the gopis, Rukmini. When Krishna had a conversation with Rukmini, he told her that she made a mistake. She should have married Shishupal. At that time, she was old, she had grandchildren, but she was still young, looking like she was 16 or 20 years old. So Krishna and his associates, they don't get old, they stay the same age. Navyovanam. So this is the proof that Krishna does not have a material form. He comes in the material world, but not everyone can understand who Krishna is. When Krishna was on the battle of Kurukshetra, 640 million people, those who knew who Krishna was and died on the battle of Kurukshetra got liberated, went to Vaikuntha. And those who didn't know who Krishna was, thought he was just a great personality, they went to the Brahma Yoti. But everybody that died on the battle of Kurukshetra got liberated. So this is the inconceivable potency of the Lord. He can come and he comes to the material world, but he's never under the influence of the material energy. In the same way, Lord Chaitanya came 500 years ago. Namo Mahavanadaya Krishna Prabhadayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Guru Chaitanya. He's the most munificent incarnation because Lord Krishna demanded surrender, Sarvadharma Prikjaja, but Lord Chaitanya is giving freely. He didn't ask anyone to surrender, he just asked everyone to chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Lord Chaitanya started out as Nimai Pandit, then he went to Gaya, and he met his spiritual master Ishvara Puri. And after that, he came back to Navadvip and started exhibiting ecstatic symptoms. Before that time, people did not realize who Lord Chaitanya was. They just know he was a beautiful boy, and he was a very learned scholar, Pandit. He could defeat anyone and everyone. But when he came back from Gaya, he was exhibiting ecstatic symptoms. So Mother Sachi and the neighbors, they were worried there was something wrong with Lord Chaitanya. And some people guess, well, he has a wind disorder. In the Ayurvedic medicine, there's 52 different kinds of combination of airs in the body. So when there's a imbalance in one of those airs, then one gets disease. So one disease is madness. So they thought Lord Chaitanya had become mad. So they advised Mother Sachi that you bind him and feed him green coconut water and rub Vishnu oil on his head. And one time Chaitanya Bhagavat says they even put him in a vat of oil for a couple hours to relieve his madness. But then Srivas Thakur came there to the house of Mother Sachi and said, this is not madness, you have nothing to worry about, there's nothing wrong with your son, he's exhibiting ecstatic symptoms of love of God. And Srivas said, I wish I had that same madness. So then after that he started his Sankirtan movement and started the preaching of the holy name. So before Krishna incarnates, then the holy name Krishna incarnates. Kalikai Nama Rupa, Krishna avatar. So first the holy name incarnated, then Lord Chaitanya appeared. So the name is non-different than Krishna. So we are devotees of Krishna, but we're also devotees of the holy name, because every one of us has promised to chant 16 rounds of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Prabhupada first went to America. He asked his disciples to chant 64 rounds. And because that was the standard that Bhaktisiddhanta had set up in the Math, anyone living in the Math was supposed to chant 64 rounds. But devotees told Prabhupada that was too difficult. They didn't have time to chant 64 rounds. So he said, okay, then you can chant 32 rounds. And devotees said, no, it's still too difficult. So Prabhupada said, okay, then we'll make it 16 rounds. 16 rounds takes 2 hours. If you're chanting slowly, it'll take a little longer. At least 2 hours, hour and a half to 2 hours. So it's not so difficult if you wake up early in the morning to chant 16 rounds before greeting the deity, or at least the balance of your rounds before greeting the deity. So Prabhupada made the standard 16 rounds, he said no less. Chant 16 rounds, no less. And one time Prabhupada went to Los Angeles, they acquired a property and they were renovating the temple room. So some of the devotees were working, they were only sleeping 4 hours. They were working so hard to get everything ready. And when Prabhupada went there, he asked them, are you chanting 16 rounds? And they said, no, we don't have time, we can't, we're working too long. So Prabhupada said, you must chant 16 rounds every day, but you should sleep less. He didn't take any excuses. And if you don't chant 16 rounds one day, if you get sick or if you're too much service, then you have to make up the rounds you missed the next day without eating or sleeping and chant 16 rounds the next day. So everybody in this movement must chant at least 16 rounds every day, because the holy name, Nama Chintamani Krishna, Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, that the holy name is non-different than Krishna. So we can do that. Any other name, mundane sound vibration, you can't chant very long without getting tired. But we can chant 16 rounds at least. If we try to chant attentively without falling asleep and try to hear the holy name, then we may develop a taste. It says if you're chanting the holy name and you're not getting a taste for chanting, that means you have jaundice. Because when a person has jaundice, sugar tastes bitter. Sugar is always sweet, but if you have jaundice, it may not taste sweet, it may taste bitter. It's not the sugar that's bitter, it's the disease that's causing it to be bitter. So that we have this disease, avidya, mode of ignorance. So we may not have a taste for chanting the holy name, but gradually if we keep chanting and trying in the nectar instruction, it says that Rupa Goswami has given the prescribed the do's and don'ts for devotees. And the do's are listed as one should be enthusiastic, endeavor with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulated principles, which are the 9 processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, abandon association of the non-devotees, and follow in the footsteps of previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So, we have to be enthusiastic about our chanting, our rounds, about the service we do. Everything we do, we should be enthusiastic. And we should be confident that gradually we will get purified. It's a gradual process. We have to melt away the modes of passion and ignorance gradually. Lord Kapila Dev says, we hear Krishna Katha for a very long time. Here it says, Bhavanam Jamanam Antaya Gadavam Papadintai. After many, many births, that one comes a jnani or becomes in full knowledge of Krishna as the Supreme Personality Godhead. So we have to be patient and enthusiastic, follow the rules and regulations, abandon the association of non-devotees. So that's why Prabhupada started the society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, so we can live in the association of devotees. And it says birds of a feather flock together. So those who are thieves, they associate with other thieves. Those are drug addicts, they associate with other drug addicts. So if you associate with devotees and stay in the association of devotees, then you'll remain a devotee. It's harder. Someone can live outside the temple and practice Krishna consciousness, but it's harder to be very strict. So it's easier if you live in the temple. So we have a facility here for people to live in the temple and practice Krishna consciousness. So those things are recommended. And Atashri Krishna Namami Namavad Indriyani Seva Mukha Hi Jivado. That Krishna can only be known by cannot be known by blunt material senses. The question is raised, if the holy name is pure, spiritual, then how can we chant the holy name with the material tongue and material senses? So the answer is that we have to purify our senses. And then we can start to understand that Krishna and Krishna's name is not different and get a taste for chanting the holy name. But even people come to the temple, they don't follow any principles, they don't follow any sadhana, but they get some rati, some taste, some attraction. They come and dance with us and chant with us. They feel some pleasure in doing that, which they don't get anywhere else in the world, even in Vrindavan. There aren't any other places where people can chant and dance at the same time. So it's a wonderful thing. People come to this temple, get a little taste for Krishna consciousness, and gradually take up the process of Krishna consciousness. At least they understand that there's something special about this temple. It's not an ordinary place. And a temple anywhere in the world is Vaikuntha, means no anxiety. Vai means without anxiety. So temples were established. Now we have over 800 temples around the world, and they're oases where people who are suffering in the material world can come and get relief from the suffering, relief least for some time, whatever, 1 hour, 2 hours, and get the medicine. If you go to the doctor, he will give the medicine, and the medicine is chanting the holy name. And he also prescribed the diet, which is Krishna Prasadam. So when people come to the temple, we make sure that everybody gets some prasadam. And now we do that. Every day we're distributing some bundi to the public. They don't have to buy it. It's free prasadam. So everyone's getting prasadam, and everyone's getting hearing the holy name and seeing the deities. So Krishna not only appears in himself, but he appears also in his Archa Vigraha, in his deity form. And the deity is non-different than Krishna. If a person thinks that the deity is made of stone or wood, then he has a hellish mentality. So Krishna can appear in the form of the deity and reciprocate with his devotees. For those who are atheists, non-believers, they think the deity is idol worship. They think the deity is idol worship. The Muslims, they came and just broke the deities all over UP, all over India, because they thought it was idol worship, the product of the devil. But for devotees, if we have some love and devotion, we can perceive that the deity is not made of stone, but the deity was installed at the time of installation, Pran Pratishtha. Krishna can enter that form, and therefore he can accept our service. And according to our consciousness, we can perceive how the deity, how beautiful the deity is. And Bhuvaneshwara, of course, says the most wonderful thing about Krishna is his sweet and gentle smile. So we can see that Gaura-Nitai, Krishna Balaram and Radha-Shama Sundar, especially Lord Balaram and Radharani, have this sweet, and Gaura-Nitai, they all have sweet, gentle smile. So if someone is smiling at you, you can understand that they're pleased with you. And there's a story about one Muni, Archer Muni, who did austerities, and Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva came to him, and they were all smiling so he could understand that they were pleased with him. So this is a wonderful thing. Prabhupada installed these deities all over the world, so people can come and take darshan of the Lord and experience get a spiritual experience. So I'll read the rest of the purport. Unlike the ordinary human beings, Lord Krishna says that completely knowing what happens in the past, what's happening in the present, what's happening in the future. Krishna says that he clearly knows. In the 4th chapter, we see that Lord Krishna remembers instructing Vibhishan, the sun god, millions of years ago, 120 million years ago. Krishna knows everything, every living entity, because he's situated in every living entity's being's heart as Supersoul. So Krishna instructed the Bhagavad-Gita, the message of Bhagavad-Gita, to the sun god 120 million years ago. He tells Arjuna that you were also there. I can remember, but you cannot. So Krishna knows every living entity because he's situated in every living entity being's heart as Supersoul. But despite his presence in every living entity as Supersoul, as presence as the Supreme Personality of God, the less intelligent, even if able to realize the impersonal Brahman, cannot realize Sri Krishna as the Supreme Person. Certainly the transcendental body of Sri Krishna is not perishable. He is just like the sun, and Maya is like a cloud. In the material world, we can see there is this sun, and that there are clouds and different stars and planets. The clouds may cover all these in the sky temporarily, but the covering is only apparent through our limited vision. The sun, moon, and stars are not actually covered. Simply Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord. By his internal potency, he is not manifest to the less intelligent men of class of men, as it's stated in the 3rd verse of this chapter. out of millions and millions of men, some try to become perfect in this human form of life, and out of thousands and thousands of such perfect men, hardly one can understand it, what Lord Krishna is. Even one is perfect by realization of impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma. He cannot possibly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, without becoming Krishna conscious. So Bhakti Mama Bhajanti, Krishna says, I can only be known by pure devotional service. Krishna is like the sun. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that Krishna is like the sun. Anyway, there are different quotes and different in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam establishing the fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ekle Ishvara Krishna Arasaja Bricha. That Krishna can't be in any way covered by the material energy. So less intelligent people, they want to argue. Many people came to Prabhupada and said, can you show me God? And Prabhupada said, what is your qualification to see God? God is not a cheap thing. If you want to know God or see God, then you have to become qualified. And that means you have to be free from all material contamination. If one is a sinful person, then he can't know God, he can't see God. But Prabhupada showed the man a picture and he said, this is God. And the temple deity Archa form is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's non-different than Krishna, the Archa Vigraha. So we don't have spiritual eyes, Premanjana Trita Bhakti Alochana. We don't have spiritual eyes, so we only have material eyes, so Krishna comes in the form of the deity, so we can see his form and worship him and develop our love for him. There's many more things to say about this purport in this verse, but our time is up. Does anybody have any comments, questions? Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Antaraj Bhagavad-Gita Ki Jai.